Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is not really a review, so to say. It's more of a hype video for Dune Part 2. A bunch of movie critics who got to see the movie a week early already posted their reviews on, you know, YouTube or Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, or even their own site. Unfortunately, I am not one of them. So I have to wait until the official release, which is March 1st, and that is actually a couple days away now. So I wanted to talk about Dune Part 1. And, I just rewatched it and just wanted to talk about, what I realized from Dune Part 1 and what I'm expecting from Dune Part 2. So let me tell you about my experience when it comes to Dune Part 1. When I first heard about Dune, I saw it, of course, by the official trailer. And I was like, wow, this actually looks pretty awesome. This is a great science fiction movie. I didn't know that it was based off a book. I didn't know it was based off a book series. I didn't know nothing of that. All I knew was that it's a science fiction movie with Zendaya in it, which is what struck my interest to go see it. And so I was like, okay, I'll give this movie a chance. I mean, Zendaya's in it. Maybe awesome. So when I went to go see it, of course, my expectations of it were like seriously off. So when I got out of that theater, not only was it exceedingly long of a movie, but it was a drag, and it was like it pondered a lot of questions in my head. I was like, wow, Zendaya was promoted like to be a big thing in this movie, and I only saw her for like 15 minutes, like in certain parts, and then at the very end. I was like, what was the point of her? And then also the thing with Timothy Chalamet in the movie, playing Paul Atreides. These were my first thoughts. I was like, how is he supposed to be like this Messiah? He seems like just no more than a child who just sees visions and has this voice that makes people do things. But he still acts like, a teenager. I was like, how is he supposed to be this amazing Messiah that everyone's been talking about in this whole movie? But so after seeing that, my expectations of Dune were like, wow, this was kind of still only went from good to okay. I was expecting more action. And then later down the line, I saw Dune Part 2 and everything. And that's actually when I started digging more into this series and trying to find out more about it. I only later found out that Dune was like this super long book. Well, the first book of a series that would later consist of 6 books. And Part 1 was only like the first half of the book. So then after that, I actually, I was like, oh, now I get it. So Dune Part 2 is like the second half of the story. So then, like later when Dune Part 2 got close to time, which is now, I actually rewatched Dune Part 1. And now I'm actually understanding more now as to why the movie was what it was. This whole Part 1, it wasn't really, I guess it really wasn't meant to have a lot of action in it. It was meant to be a build-up for what I'm going to see now in Dune Part 2. So Dune Part 2, I'm guessing, is supposed to be where all the action's going to take place and where I'm going to see a lot of, the good stuff that I was waiting to see that I didn't get to see in Dune Part 1. So now I understand it a little bit more. So, but now I can understand why they didn't make it one full film. Because, this is supposed to be just as long as Dune Part 1. So I think a 5-hour movie would be a bit too much for people. Now let me talk about what I'm expecting for Part 2. Of course, like I said, there are already a bunch of movie critics out there who have released their reviews, but I've been trying to avoid them. I know they're not going to really give away any spoilers unless they say in their videos, spoilers will be mentioned. But, I just don't want to hear something that they say and have it alter my judgment from when I see the movie. So, what I'm expecting, of course, let me start with the characters. And that's Timothy Chalamet first, since he is the main character, Paul Atreides. I'm really expecting a lot from him. When I saw him in Part 1, I just saw like this kid coming into his own who's really like supposed to be the head of his house when he gets, when he comes of age and when his dad, passes away. But he's meant to be more than that. He's supposed to be like the savior of the universe, this Messiah. So I'm expecting like a lot more character development from him, like see him become like kind of like leave the teenager vibe behind and like become more of a leader for these people. Also Zendaya, moving to her. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her. I mean, given the trailer, we are going to get more from her, but also from a coworker of mine who has read the whole Dune series. He said, yeah, her character, Chani, I believe I said her name right. I may have said it wrong. I know it starts with a C, but he said, yes, her character comes more like in the second half of the story. So I am expecting more from her. Also, of course, we're going to get some romance between her and Paul Atreides. I think that was pretty obvious because I saw that in there as well in the trailer, as well as also from the visions. I was getting that vibe too from part 1. Honestly, though, the character I'm really looking forward to seeing is the character Austin Butler is playing. I don't know what character he plays. I can't remember. I do know that Sting played the same character in the 84 Dune movie. And, well, I think that he looks badass as fuck. I mean, this guy looks like, damn, this guy would cut you in half without a second thought. He just looks evil as shit. I mean, also, it looks kind of interesting to see him with a bald head. I mean, usually he has these all these haircuts and cool looking donuts to make him look hot. And now we're seeing him with a bald head, which is a new thing. So I'm like, wow, this is a new look for Austin Butler. But, I mean, I think his character is going to be badass, in my opinion. I mean, he looks like a guy who will just murder somebody without a second thought. Also, of course, I'm pretty sure the action and cinematography is going to be same as the first. Amazing. And, of course, since Denis Villeneuve is going to be directing this movie, I mean, of course it's going to be great. Because, I mean, he does great with science fiction. I mean, his past few films have all been sci-fi, and they've been amazing. I mean, he's soon going to be called, probably, after this movie, probably the king of science fiction. And if they also continue having him for the Dune series, since there's more books too, which maybe if I'm pretty sure this movie has already got great reviews, so I'm pretty sure they got maybe another movie in the making. Now, as to whether those books pick up with, of course, with Paul Atreides and Chani's characters, like in the past, that probably will determine whether, Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya will probably return for their original roles. But, I mean, overall, I just think this movie is going to be... It's going to be really good. And now that I understand it more, it kind of makes me more excited. And it made the first movie even better now that I understand more as to what they were doing in part 1. But I want to leave a comment here what we can comment about. Like what I said about Denis Villeneuve. Do you guys think that he is the new king of science fiction? I know that's a big thing to say, but I mean, with his last few science fiction movies, I think that is a possible statement that he is up there with some of the best sci-fi directors. Please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like my other videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, and remember, stay epic!